All right, let's dive into something pretty mind-bending today called Metta. And look, this isn't just another framework for writing code. Think of it as a blueprint for creating a new kind of collective mind, an entire AI team that can build complex software pretty much from scratch. It's really an instruction manual for collaborative intelligence. Let's see how it all clicks together.
So here's the fundamental problem, right? You have this huge, ambitious idea, say, building a whole new application. How in the world do you get a team of AI agents, these individual digital minds, to work together in perfect sync? How do you avoid the chaos, stop them from tripping all over each other, and actually orchestrate a masterpiece?
Well, the answer is you give them a shared consciousness. You give them a master plan. You don't just tell them what to do, you have to define how they think, how they talk to each other, and the exact precise order they contribute their skills. This is way beyond just programming. It's like choreographing thought itself.
So here's our game plan. We're going to take a tour of this blueprint. We'll start with the architecture, the very foundation of it all. Then, we'll meet the team of digital specialists. We'll watch the master plan come together, see how the team executes its work like a perfectly timed symphony, figure out when a human actually needs to step in, and then, we'll ask what this all means for how we'll work together in the future.
Okay, first up, the blueprint itself. The core idea here is something called radical decomposition. You take a massive goal and you just shatter it. You break it down into the smallest possible pieces. These are called task-agnostic steps, or TAS for short. And they're pure concepts, just the raw actions completely stripped of any code or implementation details. These are the atoms of the entire project.
So who actually handles all these tiny atomic tasks? Well, it's not one single giant AI. It's a whole team of specialists. Each agent is like its own persona, a digital expert with a very specific skill. And they communicate through these conceptual channels the system calls placebo pipes. Just imagine them as the pathways connecting this whole distributed mind together.
First in the chain, we have GPTASe. This is the visionary, the strategist of the group. Its only job is to look at that grand goal and just sketch out the raw, unfiltered sequence of steps to get there. It couldn't care less about code. It only thinks about the logical flow of work. It's laying the conceptual groundwork. Now, once that groundwork is in place, a task flows over to Codein, who is the main workhorse of the team. This is the builder, the engineer that lives and breathes the codebase. When a task comes down that pipe, Codein's job is to figure out exactly where it fits. It investigates the existing files, understands the architecture, and gets its digital hands dirty, prepping for the actual work.
But hey, what if a task involves data? Well, the plan is smart enough to route it to a different specialist, the DB architect. This agent is absolutely obsessed with structure, scalability, and making sure everything is just right. It doesn't just write some code. It designs the very skeleton that's going to hold all the project's data, outputting perfect blueprints in the form of SQL.
And then, after all the brilliant engineering is done, Lex makes an entrance. Because what good is a system if nobody can understand it, right? Lex is the team's storyteller. It takes a look at all the work done by the other agents, pulls together the final code and design notes, and produces clean, human-readable documentation. It makes sure all that genius doesn't get lost.
Now, what's really fascinating is how these personas are even created. If you look at the snippets here, you'll see that each agent's personality is basically just defined by its core prompt, its system instructions. This text is its DNA. It's a hard-coded, unchangeable directive that defines its role, its expertise, and its exact place in this collaborative mind. It is the agent.
Okay, so we've met the team. Now let's see how they think before they act. This is the planning phase. It's where the raw ideas from GPTs get transformed into this crystal clear, dependency-aware work plan. It's all about creating a perfect causal chain where every single action has its precise time and place.
This whole thing happens in 4 distinct stages. It starts with that high-level goal. GPTASe extracts the raw conceptual steps. Then another specialist called PUTASe jumps in to purify them, making each one perfectly atomic and unambiguous. And finally, the system maps out every single dependency, creating this perfect graph of what needs to happen and in what order.
And this right here, this is the beautiful result of that planning phase. Just look at task number 7, define data structure definitions. The system knows with absolute certainty that this task cannot even begin until tasks 1 and 2 are totally done. This isn't a suggestion, it is a law of the system. Every task knows exactly where it came from.
So now we get to the execution phase. And this is not some chaotic free-for-all. It's a turn-taking symphony. Each agent, each digital musician, plays its part perfectly, and then it passes the baton. Information just flows through those placebo pipes from one specialist to the next in a strict, unbreakable sequence.
You can see that symphony right here in action on the timeline. In cycle 0, the idea is born. Cycle 1, it gets clarified. Then in the next few cycles, the specialists lay all the groundwork, and only then, in cycle 5, does the main implementation actually start. The key thing to get is that each cycle's output is the only input for the next one.
And this rule you're seeing, this is absolutely crucial. It's embedded in the DNA of every single agent. This is the secret sauce to the whole symphony. By forbidding any agent from guessing or trying to anticipate what's next, the system just eliminates chaos. Each specialist is totally focused on the present moment, trusting that the blueprint knows the way.
Of course, no blueprint can predict every single thing that might happen. The system is designed with known limits, and it knows when to ask for help. This is the escalation protocol. It's the safety net where the collaborative AI mind basically raises a hand and calls for its human partner.
And this slide draws a very clear line in the sand. The AI's job is the rigid, logical, mechanical execution of the plan. The human, on the other hand, handles everything else. Judgment calls, clarifying ambiguity, resolving crazy paradoxes like circular dependencies, and providing stuff from the outside world, like secure credentials. It's a genuine partnership.
So what does this all really mean? As we start to wrap this up, let's look at the core principles that make a system like Metta not just work, but actually be resilient. These are the built-in guarantees that make sure the whole collaborative intelligence stays coherent and on track.
There are 3 really key features here. First, state unification. This means everyone is reading from the exact same sheet of music. There's one single source of truth. Second, turn-taking enforcement. This acts like a lock, preventing anyone from speaking out of turn. And third, checkpointing, which is like constantly hitting the save button at major milestones so that no work is ever really lost.
And that brings us to our final thought. If a system can perfectly orchestrate the how, the detailed execution of a really complex plan, what does that mean for our role? Maybe the human architect isn't the one who has to lay every single brick anymore, but becomes the one who dreams up the entire cathedral in the first place and then wisely guides the symphony of minds that builds it.